But it's nice to be able to focus on permaculture and not institutional politics.
Absolutely. I can relate to that. Yep. All right. So where are all our friends? Where are Vincent? And I guess you and Vincent have actually been the only two that have consistently shown up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Vincent hasn't submitted his last assignment either. So I don't know what, something may have happened. Life may have just gotten in the way.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. I decided not to take on another group of students for this cohort that just started running at the end of September. But there was 3 out of those, I think there was 9 students in that group. There's 3 of them that were actually repeating the course from a previous cohort. So, I mean, it's nice to see people come up again. It happens all the time. Just, life gets in the way, or they aren't. Sometimes the course is a little bit overwhelming. I don't think that was Vincent's, in Vincent's case.
He was managing, he was keeping up, and, I mean, like, I saw a message from Sia and Ree saying that, they'd had a loss, quite a significant loss in their family. So, I mean, these things just happen.
Oh.
There'd been a death
in
the family.
Discussion group? I did not see that.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But one of the questions Sia asked, which is actually quite a good question, is are we the only 3 students? Because are there other students? I think because Vincent hadn't submitted, now who do we engage with?
Who do we engage with?
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a problem in the small groups. So there's typically 5 or 6 different instructor cohorts.
Yeah.
So the way there's let me go back to discussions. There is a main discussion board where you can interact with students from other groups. Okay. But yeah, in terms of the peer review, you're limited to, I can't get there now. You're limited to your own group, which is really tough. Yeah, when we've got a small group, and the groups this is why when I have a minimum of 10 students in a group, because the peer, the quality of that peer review and the interaction just kind of goes down for students as we get fewer and fewer. So I would rather have another instructor with more students in a group when they're still around their minimum or below their maximum anyway, so that there's more of that engagement. Because when we get into these super tiny groups, then you kind of miss out on that. But there are main discussion groups that cut across all of the
so maybe when you have time to go to that discussion, you can just respond to Sia. I said I would ask you tonight if I remembered.
Sure. So I'm not seeing it in lesson 6. Do you know if it was in the office hour?
Okay, hang on. Let me go back to it and see.
Let me see.
No, it's lessons. Oh, no, it should be lesson 6. Hang on.
Lesson 7. No.
I'm on lesson 7. Let me go back to lesson 6. Lesson 6. Lesson 6 assignment, Susan's group. Yeah, it's in lesson 6, Susan's group. Lesson 6 assignment, Susan's group. It's just above your message to us that says lesson 6 replay is now available online.
Oh.
Follows it.
Just be lesson 6. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, it was in a response. It got a little bit buried.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think it did.
Unfortunate.
Sorry.
Okay, I will reach out to her today for sure.
Thank you. That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah. And then there was another question I wanted to ask, and now I can't remember what it was. I knew I should have written these down, or else I probably wrote them down. I can't remember where I wrote them down. I'll think of it.
Okay. Do you remember if it was in relation to lesson 7 or a previous?
Oh, yes, previous. Yes, thank you. There's a dot next to our grades. Not all of them, but some of them. And I don't know what that means. I can't find any explanation for what the blue dot, or is it a black dot? I think it's a blue dot means.
In the grade book?
Yeah, in the grades page.
Okay, let me go see. That may not be something that's visible to me.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
Okay,
but I don't know if that means that we haven't accepted something or confirmed something, or.
See, I have an orange dot with your name in my students list. Now I'm not going to do a screen share, obviously, because it's going to bring up everyone's grades, but I have an orange dot next to your name if I haven't marked an assignment.
Okay. I think you've marked all of my assignments.
Yeah. What I would really like is an orange dot next to someone's name if they've commented something.
That would help me. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, Shamsia also wanted to know how she could. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's part of the previous question.
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not. Can you send me a screenshot of that?
Sure, I can try. Let me see if I can. I always struggle to find the grades page. I don't know why. I have to go. I'm just bizarre. I am a real digital immigrant. Let's put it that way.
Oh, you're comfortable. You could also do a screen share.
Yeah, let me find it, and then I can do that too. Sure. Okay, go to the course. I need to go to the syllabus, and then I get to the grade somehow. Whoops, wrong place. Discussion pages, people, courses, groups, dashboard. Let's go to the dashboard and see if it's there. Oh, where are the grades? Oh, here we go. Grades. And then let me see how to share. 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 Okay, hang on. I'm just going to try. Select a tab to share. I think that is micro. No.
Let's see. I haven't seen anything come up in the WhatsApp group. I'm always like, how can we make office hours more useful to students? Yeah, I didn't get anything there either. Okay, so that blue dot, peer review, check. So why is it on? Okay, so one that was late, it doesn't have a blue dot, but one that was late does have a blue dot.
And then there's a blue dot over here. I mean, if I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to worry about it. Shall I click on it and see what happens?
Yeah, sure. I don't get that. That's a totally different view than I have, so.
Oh, disappeared. Click to test a different score.
Interesting.
Oh, it's telling me I'm late. I don't know what that means. Oh, I think we were late because of the just because of the time lapse. The system hasn't accounted for the break. I think it's actually dropped lesson 8 already.
It did seem like it was a week behind. That was where I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm on schedule, and so I keep double checking with.
Well, I think as long as you have my marks, and if there's a problem, and they say, oh, well, you know, you didn't get any marks, you didn't do a step, at least you know that you've got them. And I
Yeah,
know.
there's no penalty for, you know, for lateness. It's, you know, it's a
Yeah.
university system, right? So it's built in.
Yeah.
But no, there's no penalty for that. Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I can reach out to admin and find out what that is. Do you mind if I screenshot the screen and?
No, sure, go ahead. I don't care.
And I'll send it to Dao and see what she says.
Okay. I guess I could have done that too. I didn't
Yeah.
want to go too much.
And there are some views in Canvas that I can select a student view and then see what you guys are seeing, but this one I don't seem to be able to. I don't have any option to do that.
It's kind of nice not to be able to see everything, because then you can say to the students, no, you need to understand the system. Go and find out from the university how the system works. Don't bother me.
I guess. Yeah.
I've pulled that one before.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not really. But
are you still actively teaching?
No, I for the last couple of years, I have a year-long module that I teach as the fourth year honors projects. But they are now all out in the field. So any interaction with them is, you know, sort of based on submissions to a Moodle platform like this when we have the Canvas system, or it's one-on-one interviews by appointment. But then my heavy teaching load is in the first semester. I was teaching 640 hours between February and the end of June. So I'm technically on sabbatical, but I have responsibilities. I have coordinating responsibilities that I've just had to keep up with because of the internal politics of the university, and the person who has agreed to step in for me has actually thrown a hissy fit and refused to talk and engage with anybody. It's interpersonal, intercultural, whatever. So I've been doing all of that, and then of course I've kept my honor students and my master's students and my PhD students. So yeah. I thought I was going to be a lot more laid back and have a lot more time, but I seem to be.
So much for the sabbatical, right?
Well, this course is the sabbatical. That's my sabbatical objective.
Okay, all right. And what is your background again?
Oh, I'm a real Heinz 59. I did a BSc, a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics, and then I moved out of the education system and went and did development work. We worked for 7 years at a wilderness training site. We were using wilderness camping to teach leadership skills. It was at the time of apartheid, when we were trying to. It was towards the end of apartheid. Well, during the end of apartheid, and we were trying to bring groups of people together who would not normally intersect in our South African society. So you would have CEOs of a company coming for conflict resolution with the staff that included. Shall I stop sharing, or you did that already?
Oh, I just turned off the share. Yeah, just because
that's fine. Interacting with the tea lady, and you know, the transport guy, the guy who who did the messengers, and other hierarchies in between, and particularly in the schools, we would bring together multicultural. We worked with what the British system calls their prefect system. So your student body leadership is are appointed by. They're kind of elected by the student body, but then they're sort of confirmed by the teachers' structure. And so you get this group of prefects who are supposed to be the leadership at the different levels in high school and grade school. And so at high school level, we were bringing in these prefect groups from different schools. So Indian schools, black schools, white school prefects. and so they would be able to interact in a neutral environment, an environment that was most often completely foreign to all of them, and go through. We would use the environment to teach them that, or to help them begin to discover that they were all very much the same, except for their cultural differences or their politicization or but their humanness and their leadership potential. People, and also it brought out areas of leadership potential. Where was the leadership? And often it would highlight students who were they had been selected as prefects, but they weren't being listened to because they weren't as forceful or charismatic or whatever as some of the others. And it began to help them see each other as contributors, in their diversity, rather than, this obsessively hierarchical culture that we have here in South Africa. So we did that for 7 years, and then I came back into academia, and I did a master's in food security, which introduced me to the Sustainable Livelihoods Framework, and I fell in love.
Here you are. Yeah.
And then there was political restructuring and snot and trana, and they tried to close down I was working as a technician in the in the School of Agriculture at the time, just part-time and studying part-time. And then the dean of our college, or our school, met me in the hallway one day, and he said, "I need you to do a PhD." So I said, "Well, why?" He says, "No, because I need your perspective on this team of students." I said, "Okay." So he then nominated me to do a year-long bridging course between that SANPAD, South African Netherlands Partnership for Agricultural Development, was funding to help scientists bridge the gap between science and social science. And so there was basically a transdisciplinary focus. And that having been using and being introduced to the Sustainable Livelihoods Framework, moving then towards a transdisciplinary perspective, just shifted me completely into looking at people rather than nutrients, as it were. And also my experience in the leadership training school it just shifted my thought process. And while I valued the BSc undergraduate, because it taught me how to break things down and then reassemble them in different ways to reconstruct them. I had no interest in therapeutic nutrition. I was very interested in community nutrition, but food security seemed to be the way to go. And I've always wanted to be involved in agriculture, so it just seemed like I just took opportunities and followed them through.
Yeah. Did you find that nutritional training fed back into your transdisciplinary work?
Always, because a lot of people come out of the dietetics BSc with this fantastic, dense knowledge of chemistry and biochemistry and some psychology and whatever, but that sort of all went right past my ears. And what I learned was to deconstruct and reconstruct. And so in my own personal research preference, I'm a constructivist. And so in the transdisciplinary stuff that I do, it's almost always my perspective is from a constructivist perspective. But because of my background, I can deal with, the microbiologist who comes my way and wants to look at farming from an extension perspective or a people perspective or a systems or a process. But I'm a pure qualitative constructivist.
Okay.
My PhD was a grounded theory, and it drove everyone crazy, including my supervisor who asked me to do this PhD. He stood up at a conference once and he says, "I have no idea what Karen's doing." He says, "But we need it."
Wow. That's high praise. Wow, okay.
It was really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really interested in it because when I came after I finished my master's, which was, in a nutshell, it was evolutionary ecology, but I'd really towards the end focused more on infectious disease. But having come from a farming background,
yeah,
and my bachelor's degree was in ecology, and I ended up doing my field research in Peru.
Oh, wow.
Which was interesting, and it was all insect communities and stuff, and it was fun to traipse around in the jungle for 4 months and blah blah. But what I kept seeing was the fact that, twice a week there's these boats coming up from the nearest town, which was a 5-hour boat ride away, in a little little canoe with a Honda motor, baler twine to the back of it. They're bringing in all their food. And I'm like, why are they bringing in all their food? And it was all for the mining camps, and there was the gold mining operations. And, so there's all of this social justice and environmental justice stuff going on while I'm out here studying insects, or doing that. The socioeconomic aspects of it were impossible to ignore because, for instance, we couldn't go out and do field work on the weekends because that was usually when the miners would be coming into the reserve poaching peccaries, to feed the camps, right? So then we'd be picking up peccary. We were doing necropsies on animals that we'd found that had been shot and run off. They had been picked up. So that when I got into my master's, that kind of took me back into infectious disease work. So when I came out of that, I was looking to get back into restoration ecology, which got me into permaculture, which ended up, I did my PDC in Jordan. So again, this other intersection with the socioeconomics of just food security.
Yeah.
So when
it's
came
very
out,
transdisciplinary.
It's very hard to tease apart. I mean, it's a great place for for neurodivergence, basically. I mean, it's a happy little. But when I came back, I started teaching us. It was kind of a workshop. I was part of a PDC on mitigating infectious disease risks using permaculture. But the more I dug into the research, as I was training people from NGOs, and there was doctors, and there was emergency response personnel, all these people that have been working all over the world. The more I got talking to people and digging into the research, it was we're actually yes, the macronutrient deficiencies are really important, but the micronutrient aspects were the ones that were really important, in basically creating a foundation of susceptibility to all of these diseases, like we were seeing.
So things like zinc and iron.
Right.
And okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the fact that the soils were so depleted was you can grow all your own food.
Yeah.
We can get the macronutrient, the proteins and carbohydrates and all of that taken care of. There's still no baseline nutrition in it.
Yeah.
So
interesting, hey?
Yeah.
And the difficult thing, well, now I'm getting sidetracked now. I was going to say the difficult thing is that so much of the conversation around food security is actually dominated by economics. I mean, organic agriculture is not a practice; it's an economic strategy. My sister lives in Minnesota, and she bought a farm, and they were doing CSA, community supported agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And for years and years they did it. And they went the organic certification route, and eventually they left with their community support because the restrictions for organic certification were so limiting that they actually were depleting their soils because they couldn't get organically certified inputs.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a dairy next door, but because he wasn't certified, even though he was basically farming organically, they couldn't use any of the waste products from his farm on their farm, just right next door. And eventually they just got fed up with it and said, no, this is nonsense. And so they wanted to take care of their land rather than be organically certified. So they just moved away. And that has become that way here. In fact, I think I see very little organically certified products in the stores anymore. Yeah.
I worry a little bit about it because it's so commonplace here. It's so easy. It's so much easier now to find organic most things. That it's not, I don't think the certifications have changed, but I agree. I've seen the same thing of like where the organic certification is either harming the farmers themselves or land or both. Now there's a big beyond organics movement.
That is what South Africa is now looking at is let's have a transparent trail of where these foods come from, and let's promote them as caring for farmers, caring for the earth. I'm trying to think of what Woolworth's brand is. I can't remember what it is, but it's moved away from organic to something else. The restrictions for the farmers are very
It also brings to mind like the Savory Global regenerative.
No,
it's not regenerative. The EVP,
the holistic movement.
So
there's a lot of regenerative agriculture going on here. Well, then we call it conservation agriculture. It's taken a while to take off, but the farmers are seeing such drastic differences. I mean, not when I say drastic, they're beginning to see improvements almost immediately. It's making such a difference to them that it's very motivating. And but then you still have a lot of the government's way behind in terms of their policy, but they're still working on a conservation agriculture policy. But that hasn't stopped the farmers from shifting. The private sector is just going for it.
That's good to hear. Okay, so we're at 10:30. Once again, Karen and I have had a very nice chat.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all. I'm actually, I really, like I said, I really spend some time thinking about like, how can I make these better for students? And I kind of think I'll start just recording my tutorial ahead of time and then tagging it on to whatever discussion if
that's a good idea.
Do you want me to go through this little tutorial or do you want me to just record it?
I think you could just record it. If you don't mind doing it without an audience.
No.
But I did have a question about lesson 7.
Okay.
And let me go to I admit I haven't read all of the background materials and watched all the videos. I've watched most of them, but not all of them. But if I go to, I'm going to share my screen just now, if that's okay.
Yep.
I've been trying without success to get an altimeter to go and do ground truthing my altitudes, and I think I'm going to have to build a A-frame like Sia and Ree and go and do it manually and just take a reading off the internet and say, okay, well, this is 2 meters higher or 2 meters lower from there. But what I wanted to ask was on this slide 88. Well, my slide 88. Hang on, I'll share.
Is that the cross section? Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, before we even get to the cross section, this tertiary consumer related to, in relation to the microorganisms, the decomposers, I don't get that relationship. So for example, in this example, it is okay, hang on, let's not go there. Let's go to a student's example. Here we have a bird, and it's drawing its energy from.
No, it's the reverse. So the arrow going down to the decomposers is just indicating, that all of these things die, all of these things ended up getting broken down by the decomposers, all of their waste. Yeah. Okay. So it's not a drawing energy, but a kind of a return of energy.
All right. Okay. Because somebody had an example of a bug, a grub. I don't know where. Yeah, here we go. We had a bird and a grub. That made sense to me, but I couldn't. Okay. All right. Thank you. That was my major question.
Yeah.
And then for the site cross section, I only started looking at that this afternoon. As long as I can get my altitudes right, I really look forward to doing this actually.
It's a good one. It's usually students find they get insights that that are kind of surprising. So I'm glad you're looking forward to it, because it can also be a little bit intimidating. But
and I went through some of the time lapse, on Google Earth this afternoon, from the oldest aerial photos to the newest ones, and you can see, I could see over time the patterns of the contours when it was barer or less wooded in the past than it is now, and it was, I just feel like I wish I could just put it up on a projector and trace them out and then say, okay, now let me go and find out what that is, because it shows them so beautifully. So you're getting a definite feel for the land itself, so I actually look forward to this.
Okay. So when you say you wish you could put them up on a projector, do you mean like you wish you could project them onto the
no, onto a wall and just sort of draw them out? I suppose I could do that. I could do that I could do that with PowerPoint, couldn't I? The Google Docs. I hadn't thought about that. I could do that.
Yeah. And actually, I've been in workshops where we did that, where we projected the image onto a white wall and then traced, either did like some mapping ideas or like some design ideas or contours, whatever. And you can trace it out. And you kind of, tear off one sheet of paper and start a new one, and just keep the projection up. It's actually really handy, as long as you get the projection accurate, and you make sure the image is centered, obviously, but not too close to the edges, because the edges tend to get distorted because the lenses are curved. But
okay,
it's a great idea.
Well, I might fiddle around with that. I always overthink these things. Unfortunately, it takes me longer than it should. But I enjoy it. So that's.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I don't worry about you missing any of these aspects. That's my main points with this section, with this slide in particular for students, is just make sure, copy the template slide and then just keep going back and make sure you've got everything, because I see a lot of students miss height, height of things, or the successional stage, because that kind of gets buried, things like that. So I'm just make sure you've got everything in there. So
okay. Yeah. And I think the videos that explain that were actually right in the beginning, how to do those measuring your heights and stuff. So people may have forgotten them.
Okay.
I don't know. They might have been reproduced. I don't remember. The other thing I'm aware, I'm constantly in tension about is, you're doing the module, and so you want to explore all the different principles. And so, for example, if you're going to be doing a design, like earthworks or building swales or whatever would be part of a particular design, but you're balancing your focus in the time that you have to do the assignment on the constraints of the design site and your client and whatever. And so I feel like I'm aware. So for example, Sia and Ree are going to be, they've started earthworks already on their site. And so their experience is going to be very hands-on with that. Whereas I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not even going to build a dam because my soils are so not supportive of ponds and dams. And to do the earthworks and the filling would be beyond the budget of my client, right?
Right.
Or even, yeah. So you kind of feel like you know these things are part of your learning, but you don't give them the same focus that you would because you are focusing on a particular assignment. And
and there, I mean, that's also a particular approach too. I mean, I personally never recommend going into, especially something like earthworks where you're really moving stuff around, not going into it until you've gone through your complete design process at least once. Partly, I mean, right now, you're going into site cross section. I mean, that could be potentially really valuable information that you're digging up, or pardon the pun, but that you're coming up with.
Yeah.
That could inform the decisions that you'd want to make around a pond or swales, earthworks, all these things that like, they're really exciting to get into early on. And, you feel like you're making good headway, but I mean, if you're confident about what you're moving forward with it, that's great. I mean, that's all a learning process. For me personally, I would like to go through the entire design process before making any of those big decisions. So, I mean, that's all scale of permanence stuff too, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, if you're changing your soil conditions, that's kind of further down on the list. But if you're changing actual like geography and really modifying the topography of your site, I mean, that's pretty high up on the scale of permanence list. Like, it's hard to go back from that, even if just because you're breaking up compaction in a slope, for instance. I mean, you've kind of permanently altered the hydrology of that slope, for instance, as an example. But yeah, so don't feel, I'm very cautious about that kind of thing. I'm always like, just get all the way to the design, hold your horses, wait until spring, or, give it a season to kind of let those ideas percolate. So,
no, I agree with you. In fact, this is one of the reasons why I've done their site before I do my own, because I'm still percolating a lot about my own place, because it's been so disturbed already that I'm very cautious, and I want to make sure that the changes that I make are consistent and coherent with what I've got and can afford.
Somewhere between analysis or paralysis analysis, or analysis paralysis, and going off like a loaded gun. There's two extremes there, and somewhere in the middle. But.
Okay, well, I think that's all my questions. I can always access you by WhatsApp if I need to, and
absolutely,
and so what I think I should do is I'll let you go so you can record, and then I'll pick it up when you posted it.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you so much, Susan. Really.
Well, thank you. It's always such a pleasure. Yeah. It's always
nice.
such a pleasure.
I must confess that it's so nice to talk to someone who is involved in the permaculture. Well, my clients are fantastic. They would sit and listen all day and participate. But I don't think anyone else in my sphere of influence is particularly interested in listening about my permaculture project.
The community aspect is a big one for sure. So cool. Okay. Well, I'm always here.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Karen. Have a good night. Yeah.
Thank you. I will do. Okay. Bye-bye. Let's see. Leave. How do I leave? Leave.
Might be able to kick you out. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. So if you've stuck around for the whole chat, or if you're just popping in right now, Karen. No, I see 1 out of 50. Okay. No, cancel. Okay. unmute myself. Looks like we've got to do a little bit of, there we go. Okay, so I am going to share my video. All right, so a little review. If you're just dropping in, this is call number 7. So the next lesson that's going to be due next Monday is lesson 7, local ecology and site cross-section. So I'm going to do my tutorial now. Karen and I just had a little bit of chat. If you want to go back through the video and check that out, that's fine. But I know for you, those of you that just kind of want an overview of the assignment, especially if you're not here yet, this is where you want to be. Okay, screen share. All right, I'm going to go to the active master and bring that over to my screen over here. All right, here we go. Okay. Bring my agenda over to the other side. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay, so here we are, local ecology survey. So this is lesson 7. This lesson's grades are distributed across the ecology survey, which is 4 points. This is what you're going to see coming up here. And then the section view or cross section, 10 points for total 14 points. Now you will see it referred to here as a site cross section. You'll see it referred to in the rubric as the section view. Same thing. Look for that section. It's a section idea. It's just the idea that you're cutting across the topography of the site. So instead of looking overhead, you're going actually kind of right through it. Okay, so our ecology survey, we're going to start with this one. Now, this has changed quite a bit over the years. This is one that we found that students tended to prefer, and it was a little bit more intuitive. You can see some examples here of how students have laid that out. Here's another example. But yeah, this is kind of a good, nice, straightforward, because you can get lots of imagery in here to show what's going on. So don't forget that there's an image here in the back that you can insert, and then individual plants to put in for each successional stage. So some things to keep in mind here are that successional stage and climax ecology can be very subjective. You're not going to be able to search, for instance, Valencia, California, what is the climax ecology? You may be able to find information for that if it's a well-known biome or ecotone. But just know that you might find kind of different answers. You may end up, you're probably going to end up doing a lot of like collectively, okay, this looks like this particular site is in like a climax chaparral, but that chaparral may have been influenced by repeated burning over the years, and that may have been centuries of indigenous burning and now wildfire burning that's preventing it from going back to an earlier climax ecological stage, which was, for instance, oak woodland habitat. So you may have to weed through different histories, different opinions, different ecological opinions, especially if you start going into Google Scholar and looking at some of the ecological history literature. If you start feeling a little bit overwhelmed or it's getting like too complex, kind of just pick a direction, or you can tell a story, tell us about some of those conflicts or contradictions that you're finding in the literature. That's fine. Get a clear of a picture as you can for your site. Sometimes the climax ecology is described for what was there 100 years ago, what was there 1,000 years ago, a millennium, or a million years ago. So know that can change over time with different climatic conditions, different anthropogenic conditions. Most ecosystems will go through some incredible transformations and can be stable for a very long time and then undergo change, sometimes very rapidly due to climate, fire, flooding, so on. Make sure to really go through the text here. Choose a found or not found. It's not going to be both on your site. It's either on your site or it's not. So pick one and delete the other. Use clear graphics because they're going to be quite small. And And then be sure to cite your sources as always, if relevant. If you want to either put them in here or put them into your appendix, that's fine either way. And then, yeah, just go through these. Early succession is usually like right after the disturbance or a few years after the disturbance. Usually that's going to be fast growing weedy species. Sometimes those are, quite often those are still present even in late succession, or certainly in mid succession, often in late succession as well, but they are there in less abundance. So things that take a very long time to establish, like oak trees, mature oaks, some riparian species, like usually your big trees, long-lived shrubs like that. Bunch grasses can take quite a long time to come back into succession. They will be there as indicators of the successional stage, but some of those pioneer species are still present. So a lot of times you'll still see things, for instance, in California, well, in Western North America, things like cheatgrass, bromes, oatgrass, all of it, were planted or brought in with cattle during cattle grazing eras, like in the 1800s. You might see like Scotch brome, so like some invasive species, things like that. So just keep in mind that those can still be present in late succession, pardon me, but they're not necessarily indicative of what successional stage you're in. Okay. If you have any questions, hit me up on WhatsApp, send me an email, that's fine. Okay. For your bird species count, I like to see when students have included native species for sure. So don't let your invasives get in here. So for most places, starlings, English sparrows, stuff like that are going to be invasive. So I'd like to see you have an understanding of what your native species, things that you're actually looking for, even if you don't necessarily see them on your site, things that you would expect to be there. Also, try to like move away from things that are ubiquitous, for instance, like the North American crow, magpies, things that are like found almost everywhere. It's nice to see like some unique species here that are really like kind of emblematic of your site. Often nature centers will have that kind of information. You could ask them if you're not sure. And then finally, try to distribute them across different taxonomies and ecology. So if you can find a raptor, a seed-eating, a sparrow, or like a small like perching birds, a water bird, and then kind of two other examples in there, scavengers, things like that. So try and spread them across. Don't just give me 5 songbirds or 5 raptors. So try to keep those in mind. You might not be able to hit all of those metrics. I think for everybody that I know in this cohort, every cohort I can think of in the past, that shouldn't be a problem. So not even if they don't necessarily need to be things that you have seen on your site. Great if they are. Many of them will come back, especially your songbirds, and then eventually your predators. So like your raptors and owls. You'll see those come in as your ecology develops on your site, but certainly you can bring songbird back pretty quickly with different plantings and providing habitat for those birds. Okay. And then with the local food chain slide, sometimes I get a little bit of confusion on here. Hopefully you can work your way through it. Get specific where you can. So I don't want to see grass here. Find something that's like a species of bunch grass that's known for your local ecosystem. A specific, a bumblebee species, for instance, that you should expect to see. Maybe that you haven't necessarily seen before, but something that you would expect, or a certain butterfly or moth or something. A bird species, and then a predator. These arrows are indicating energy flows. So energy flows from a producer, so usually from a plant to something that eats the plant or pollinates it. So that's the direction of energy flow. All of these things are going to die and produce wastes, and those go into the decomposer group. So decomposers can include bacteria, fungi, things like wood lice, like insects that break down woody material, earthworms, which are non-native for North America. They still are a decomposer. You can include them in there. Don't include things like red wrigglers, for instance, Eusenia fetida, because they aren't, most locations, they aren't going to survive outside of like a managed system. So unless you know that for sure they are actually going to survive kind of out in the wild of your site, yeah, then choose something else. You should be able to include at least the genus name, if not the species, especially for bacteria. Genus name is just going to be fine, or even family name. That's fine. Okay. And then your site cross section. Okay, or the section view if you're looking at the rubric. Okay, so for your first slide, you're going to use, oh, wait to catch up here. Your base map with your aerial view that clearly shows the selected section of the property from above, and then label your cross section with like starting over here, A to B. If you're going to do 2 cross sections, do A prime. So you're starting at A, end at A prime, and then starting at B, ending at B prime. I do recommend going left to right, because otherwise you're going to have to, well, I do recommend going left to right because the majority of us natively read left to right. Tell us why you chose it. It may be the longest path. It might be samples the different variation in elevation, focuses on the area you want to use for something. Any of those reasons can apply. To go ahead and tell me what those are. Use a clear legend. Remove anything that is not actually represented on this map. So I've seen a few things that keep getting included even though they're not on that map. So just make sure you've checked through your legend and make sure it's represented on the map. Same thing with your site information. That should all be second nature by now. Your coordinates, area, dimensions, elevations, name, address, or location if you're not including your specific address. And then your accurate scale and a compass rose, however you've been configuring that so far. Your plan view, this is where you're going to put in your cross-section diagram. Yeah, okay. So this is where you can see what that's going to look like. So with your distance, and then there's quite a bit of information here to include. So like successional stages, describe them here. Your microclimates are going to get included. Your information bar can get a little bit squashed. It's okay to reduce the font size if you need to. Just make sure you've still got all that information on. Really use your white space if you want to include extra images. That's nice to do so. You know, if you have like an outset, you can include your whole site diagram to kind of review for us what that line A to B goes. Indicate where's A and B, or A and A prime, B and B prime, whatever you've decided to use. Tell us what each of these elements are. You know, you can add little notes here, give elevation, heights, or yeah, distances. Okay. Okay, and then this is going to be, oh, dude, where did we go? We lost it. Okay, and then this is another look at your site cross-section. Okay, so this can be your template slide here. Get some relevant photos in there. Okay. So this is, just to be clear, because this slide is basically for illustration. So it says on the little reminder on the left, it's for illustration purposes only. So you can grab these elements to use in your cross-section diagram here. Here they've got the relevant photo down here. Here they've got some photos up here. So people over the years have used kind of both of these formats. Go ahead and choose elements that work for you, make it all work, but ultimately you're going to be including just this one slide with your site cross-section. And then you can delete that. If you want a pre-made grid, you can grab one of these, crop it, shrink it. Just make sure when you're doing your cross-section, don't stretch these grids so that, you know, so that they're longer than they are high. You want to crop them rather than stretch them. Make sure that your units are the same on the vertical and the horizontal axes. Otherwise, your scales are going to get all skewed, right? You're going to have a very short, fat tree, or a very tall, narrow tree, or a house, or that gets thrown out of scale. So make sure that these stay as squares. And then keep in mind that you can choose what is grade, like what is going to be 0. in your site cross section, and then drop some things below that. So that's going to be, say, minus 10 feet from grade, plus 10 feet, plus 20 feet, or meters, whichever you're using. Use your notes here to clarify. For instance, this person has put almost bare earth, low density, high density shrubs, mix of herbs, what the approximate heights are, all of that. You're just trying to give us a clear picture of like what this line through your property is going to look like. All right, and then SWOT analysis, straightforward, lots of points, include as much detail as you can there. This is going to be specific to your local ecology and your cross-section, anything you've discovered there. Again, what have you learned? Any goals, tasks based on your assignment? And then if you've got questions for me, include them here. Okay, so that's gonna be a little tutorial. I think I'm gonna, for office hours moving forward, we've only got a few of these left. I'm gonna do something a little bit more of this format of getting to chit chat, maybe in the first half hour, 40 minutes, and then doing a tutorial at the end. If you're gonna be showing up for office hours, I'd love to see you. Okay, all right, and hope everything's going well. Feel free again to reach out to me on email or on the WhatsApp group. I realize I've missed a few comments in the discussions. That's on me. Yeah, just the dates didn't come up, or I didn't see a notification. So if you have something important that you need to get to me pretty quick, email me through Canvas, or send me on a WhatsApp message. All right. Have a great week, you guys, and I look forward to seeing your lesson 7 assignments coming in. All right. I'm going to close this up. Move it back here. Okay. All right. Have a good week, everyone.